All right, here we go. Prop the mic. We're live. Dave and I are so excited to get back to post All-Star break NBA betting that we're recording a day early. Pretty much all the lines are out already, which is not usually the case. So we just couldn't help ourselves and wanted to get this out here a day in advance. As always, today's podcast is presented by Props.Cash. We 100% could not do what we do without Props.Cash. So if you think you're ready to level up your prop betting game, use code PTM at sign up to get 25% off your first month. As a reminder, all of today's podcast picks will be posted in our VIP Discord immediately following the pod. What's going on, Dave? How we feeling? Ready for NBA?
Yeah. I don't think we've potted since pre All-Star break, and All-Star break was fun. It was I would say they're getting a lot of criticism right now for the quality of the All-Star game, but I think people are just like expecting too much. And the reality is one team played, right? The East played. They played really hard. They were trying to win, and the West just screwed around. And they didn't. But it's an All-Star game, right? Like, it's like it's the last event in a weekend long of things. Like the guys are tired. They're like, don't take it that serious. So set your expectations. Don't bet a lot of money on those games. They're just for fun. But what I would say
hard
is
to watch. Very hard to watch.
Hard to watch.
I didn't even watch it, to be honest.
The 3-point competition was a lot of fun, and I think that's the highlight of the events this over the last couple of years.
Those are watchable.
And the integration of the WNBA into the competition with Sabrina and Steph, that was a very like delicate situation, right? Because like they didn't want to embarrass either person, but it turned out pretty good. They both did really well. Sabrina, they put up 26 points, which would have like basically put her in the finals of the actual competition. So she did great. Steph did great. I'm looking forward to see how they evolve that competition down the road. Maybe get some more stars from the WNBA into the mix, and it could be a lot of fun. So NBA did good stuff. That was fun. Last couple of days we've been focusing on college basketball. We thought we were like, the new experts in college basketball, and then we got a little bit humbled last night. Our picks, we went 5-1 2 days ago. Last night we got crushed on our picks, with all the home teams winning. But in the Discord, a couple of our contributors were just delivering like win after win on the player props. So if you're into college basketball player props, there's a good spot to go for some good content. But enough said about college. We'll continue to put out content on that. But let's dive into NBA slate. You ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So I believe there's 12 games tomorrow. We're going to cover about 7 here, and then tomorrow maybe we'll put out some additional content on the other 2 games, the late games, Lakers, Warriors, Spurs, Kings. But let's dive into the first one. We're going to start by covering the Knicks and the 76ers. 76ers are -1.5 at home. Total is 225 in this game. Looks like both teams are kind of banged up. Randall's still out. Obviously Embiid's still out. Those are the big missing pieces. But it does look like Jalen Brunson's playing, so that's good. What do you like in this one?
I just got one play in this game. Still taking a little bit of a wait and see approach with Philly here, so they kind of you get a few games under your belt with this new look Sixers team. So Josh Hart was just in an amazing spot for rebounds. His line is 9.5 in most books. Like DraftKings is 9.5 -105, but we got it here at FanDuel -136 for 8.5 rebounds. That's where sorry, am I looking at points here?
8.5 rebounds. Yep.
Sorry, 8.5. Oh, 8.5 rebounds. Yeah. So you can actually get that +100 on FanDuel. Sorry, I was reading. You can still get it at DraftKings -166, but I actually like it at I think it's okay at 8.5 here. He's done it in 9. There you go. 9 of his last 10 games overall, averaging 9.8 rebounds per game. He had 15 against Philly on January 5th. So nice. Obviously, it was a different look Philly team, but nonetheless. And then he has an awesome matchup. So forwards against Philly is rebounding wise is the number 3 matchup over the last 4 weeks. Monster rebounding games to Denny had 13, Pascal Siakam 13, Sadiq Bey 11, Miles Bridges 11, Andrew Wiggins 10, Lauri Markkanen 10. There's a few others, but those are guys who don't get to double-digit rebounds that often, and they all did in this spot very recently against the Sixers team. So I love Josh Hart here, especially with this still, no Randall back. He'll still be playing bigger minutes.
Yeah. On props like cash, we could scroll down. Look at that injury list for both teams, and you could search for games where he's played without Randall, right? And we'll just look at the last 10 games without Randall. So that's pretty much the same last 10 we were just looking at. But that's a nice way to kind of see the impact. Basically every game that he's played without Randall this year.
Yeah, OG has also been out pretty much all those games, I would imagine.
And I think OG is still out, right?
He is, he's still out.
Yeah. Available for 7.5 on DraftKings as well for -166. So if you're looking to kind of bring this down a little bit, but it does look like if he gets there, he gets 10. So I think that's a great spot. I didn't really have anybody on the Sixers side. On the Knicks side, I do think Miles McBride is in a good spot from a matchup standpoint, but I didn't see any props out for him. So maybe as we get closer to the game, he's getting more minutes, obviously with some of the recent trades that they've had, and good spot against the Sixers in his position. So
Deuce McBride spot. All right, let's go.
Yes, sir. The analytics weren't telling me anything about this guy either, but I just kind of feel like Dante DiVincenzo is also in a good spot. I don't know if he was popping for you on anything.
No, I didn't look into him too much.
But if you just look at what he's done over the last 8 games, he's basically like having a career performance. So 20 points,
shooting the lights out.
Yeah, shooting the lights out. So 20 points seemed like a pretty good spot, assuming he's still going to get the playing time that he's getting. So that might be a little bit of a lean for me there. Okay.
And in Philly for all these Villanova guys, I didn't look at any Philly splits, but you'd imagine they'll have some, maybe they get up these Nova guys, have some, maybe what's his face? Jay Wright comes to watch him play or something when they play in Philly. So
you think Jay Wright lives in Philly still? He's retired, man. He's probably in the Bahamas or something.
Yeah, maybe. Look for a long time. So
he did. In only 16 minutes against Philly back in January this year, he had 14 points. So now he's probably going to play closer to like 28, 30 minutes. So I think that just shows the potential there. So he could be in a good spot as well. Let's talk about the other New York team. We got the Nets at the Raptors. Raptors are -2.5 at home. Total is 231.5. So a little bit higher scoring in this one. Anything standing out for you in this game?
Yeah, I liked Scotty Barnes looking real nice, both rebounds and assists popping out in our model. So I figure why not just put them together? Let's go with the RA play on Scotty Barnes. Though if you dig in and look, you'll see both rebounds and assists separately are really nice plays. He has cleared 14.5 rebounds and assists in 6 of his last 7 games that he's played with Quickly, Barrett, and Bruce Brown, averaging 17.2 RA in those 7 games. So all those guys are back and healthy and playing. He played Brooklyn on November 28th. He had 17 RA in that game. So looking very nice. And then a awesome matchup forwards against Brooklyn, the number 2 rebounding matchup specifically over the last month. Tatum had 2 games, 19 RA and 16 RA. Julius Randle had a 16 RA game, and LeBron as well. So Scotty plays big minutes in an awesome spot. I think this is looking nice.
Yes, I was also on Scotty. I leaned towards his rebounds over 7.5. I really liked, the recent performance 10, 10, 9, 12 with those guys that you had mentioned. Also, let me take those filters off. I believe he has had a pretty good performance against Brooklyn which was earlier in the season. Yeah, last time they played back in November, he had 11 rebounds.
Yeah.
Hard to put a lot into that because these two teams have a different look. Nets also just fired Jack Vaughn or parted ways. I don't know. It seemed cordial the way he went out. But so who knows how the Nets will respond to that. But I do think Scottie Barnes is in a great spot. I was looking into Bruce Brown too, because Bruce Brown's got the history with the Nets as well, coming to play his old team, or I guess it's at home. But I couldn't really find. He doesn't have a lot of great history against them, so I passed on that. So Scottie Barnes, rebounds and assists, both good plays. Love those.
All right.
Anybody else in this game?
No, I was Mikal Bridges points and assists were both two props that were popping on the model. I ended up not loving it enough to play it, but was it one that you were looking at?
Yeah, I was literally pulling it up as you were presenting it. Yeah, again, inconsistency is my problem with Bridges, right? He's good for 30 or good for 13. So but from a matchup standpoint, Mikal Bridges is in a great spot. So
yeah, and with the new coach, I'm not sure. Not that he's like so new, right? He's on the staff. He's an assistant coach already, right? So it's like not probably going to change much, but maybe take a couple games to kind of see how the Nets play out their rotations with the new head coach.
Who is it? Who did they assign? It was
Kevin Ollie.
Kevin Ollie, who used to be at UConn, right? Is that where he was?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, very nice. All right, let's go to this. This one should be good. These two teams, when they get together, it's always fun. Suns at Mavs.
Yes.
This is a nationally televised game. Mavs are -3.5 at home. Total is 243.5. So nice scoring opportunities in this game. What do you like in this one?
All right, let's start with the scoring since you just mentioned it. Let's look at Luka. I love his points line at 30.5, -130 on DK. Has it come up everywhere? No, wow, a little bit juicier.
You can still get it for -145.
Yeah. 2 games against Phoenix this season, 34 and 50 points. Worth noting, though, that Kyrie was out both those games. So Kyrie is back now. There's I'd be a little bit more cautious here, but I like the 30.5. I think he's still good for that in this game. He's cleared this line in 25 of his last 31 games overall, averaging 36.1 points per game over his last 31 games. He also has a 100% hit rate this season when he's on 3+ days rest. So very nice. And then look at what some of his comps have done. De'Aaron Fox dropped 40 on them right before the All-Star break. Luka, there was the 34 right there. Fox, another game with 33. This is all within the last 4 weeks. Trae Young, 32, and Steph had a 30-point game against him. So loving Luka in the spot.
Yeah, I think so. He's also got like something with what's his name, with Booker, right? Like the two of them always are after each other, and I just feel like that elevates both of their games
for sure.
So they both could go off for 30+ in this game. That could be another good angle.
The ping pong, I love it.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the history. I think you mentioned the last two, 50 and 34. But if you go back, 6 games, he's 5 for his last 6 against them. I don't know what this game was back in January 23. He must have. I mean, he didn't play.
Must have got hurt or something.
Yeah, he must have come in and got hurt right away, or maybe knowing Luka, maybe got tossed out for complaining. So I think that actually might have been what it was. He might have got a T in that game. But anyway. So basically 5 for his last 5 against the Suns. So I think that's a home run. All right. Anybody else on the Mavs side?
I like Kyrie's rebounds. It's always good. It's been popping out in our model like over the past few weeks. It's always sticking out, and there's a reason why. He's cleared 4.5 rebounds, -120 on DK in 13 of his last 15 games, averaging 6.3 rebounds per game. And he gets a tremendous matchup. Combo guards against Phoenix, number 2 in rebounds per minute over the last month. Like, look at these monster games. Shake Milton had a 9 rebound game. DeJounte Murray, 8. Tyler Hero, 6. Jordan Poole, 5. And then if you look at point guards, which you can also, look at Kyrie as point guard. De'Aaron Fox had a 9 rebound game. Steph Curry had a 9 rebound game. And Kobe White had a 10 rebound game against the Suns. So I think Kyrie's a great rebounder. recent success, recent trend is through the roof. This is a great spot for him.
Yeah, you texted me this one yesterday. I love this play. I'm trying to find a reason to poke holes in this, but I can't find any. So I think this one's a home run. Yeah, I think that's good. All right. Anything else in this game?
The only thing I'd say is, Luka is a tremendous rebounder. So, there's always your risk. There is some luck involved with, rebounds to guards, right? Like some of it is just how the ball bounces. So, if you want to poke a hole in it a little bit, I guess that could be it. But I feel pretty safe at, Kyrie getting 5 rebounds in this game.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you got the Kyrie Durant thing. I don't think they have any animosity towards each other, but they'll both be up for this game.
Yeah.
I don't see why not. I mean, especially with that trend.
They haven't. Kyrie hasn't played them yet. I don't think. Kyrie was out. Yeah, both those earlier games this season. So it was his first time. I don't know if they played last season or not. I doubt it though. So this might be his first time playing against KD.
And Kyrie was not in the All-Star game, right? If I recall.
I don't think so.
I think he was out, right? So he's got some long extended rest. So I think that should only benefit him.
Yes.
Got a history of being banged up. All right. What about something on the Sun side? Anything there?
I didn't have anything on the Sun side. No.
All right. I think Bradley Beal is in a good spot from an assisting standpoint. Let's pull up his assists. This line just seems ridiculously low. Although the juice is creeping up on it, but 4.5 assists for Bradley Beal. If you look over his last 15 games, he's cleared this in 11 of the last 15. But if you hone in specifically on his road games, he's cleared this in 6 straight road games with a pretty good margin for some of them. So 4.5 assists, I think, is pretty good value for Beal. And I just think in a game with 243.5 points, where Booker is going to be looking to score more than facilitate, I think Beal's in a really good spot to put up 6-7 assists. What do you think?
Yeah, this seems like a sneaky little spot, and I think he played Dallas. They played not too long ago, January 24th, right? He had 7 assists in that game. So.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm thinking he's good for probably 6. So I would even play it at 5.5. I think.
All right. There we go.
All right, cool. Let's move on. We got the Celtics at the Bulls. Bulls are -7.5 at home. Total is 226.5. What do you like in this one?
I know you're not going to like this. Jason Tatum assists. You get 5.5 assists plus 106 on FanDuel. I know you're going to like it at 5. Much better, right? That's what you feel. But at plus 106, I think, if you want to play the juice, it's not going to be that bad, right? To bring him down to 4.5 assists. So I think he's good for it here. But if you wanted to play it safe, I think he's really good for it at 4.5. And I think you'd probably agree with me. But 7 of his last 9 overall, averaging 7 assists per game over his last 9 games. And he gets a good matchup. LeBron forwards against Chicago, 9th most assists per minute over the last month. LeBron had 12 assists against them. Scotty Barnes, 2 games in the last month, he had 7 and 6 assists. Always love to see somebody repeat the success against them. RJ Barrett, 6 assists. Miles Bridges, these are 2 guys who are not assist guys, had 6 and 5. Miles Bridges 5, RJ Barrett 6. That's forwards. If you classify Jason Tatum as a wing, the matchup's even better. 3rd most assists per minute over the last month. Karis LeVert had a monster game with 9 assists. Malik Monk, 7. Karis LeVert, another game with 7 assists. So, again, love to see those back-to-back. So, let's go Tatum.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only thing I would caution, I do like the spot for Tatum, but if you look like in the last 10 games, they pretty much were at home almost the entirety of that, right? They played a game in Miami and a game in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And if you look at his home-away splits, at least the last 10, right? Mm-hmm. At home he's averaging 5.7, and on the road he's averaging 5.1. So he does have a better performance, better hit rate at home versus on the road. But I think he does have good recent history, or good last 5-game history against the Bulls. So I think it's I think it's a good spot. I personally would tweak it down, like you said. You knew where my head was at.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Yeah, so I like Kobe White rebounds. Over 4.5 rebounds, -125. We're going with rebounds for guards again here, like we did with Kyrie. I like this. He's done it in 7 of 10 overall, averaging 5.3. He's done it in 7 of his last 10 at home, averaging 5.4. And if you look, Boston, not great rebounding for bigs and forwards in Boston, but if you're looking at the like guards and wings, it's been pretty nice over the last month. Point guards versus Boston, number 2 rebounds per minute over the last month. I mean, Luka, I mean, he had an 18 rebound game, but he's kind of in a classification on his own. But yeah, D'Angelo Russell 8, Jamal Murray 8, Dennis Schroeder 7, and Dennis Schroeder 5. And then if you look at combo guards, James Harden 8, Jeremy Sohan 7, Kyrie 6, IQ 6, Tyler Hero 5. So great comps for Kobe White here. Either way you look, so liking this matchup for him.
Yeah, I like this kid's energy. He's a UNC guy, so I probably shouldn't love him too much, but he plays with a ton of energy, and this is kind of his moment, right? With LaVine out, he's really excelled, and he's scoring like crazy, and he's out there hustling for rebounds. So I think if there is a spot to attack for rebounding, it's this position against the Celtics. I also saw that one popping out, so that's nice.
Nice. Yeah, he's resurrecting his career for sure.
At the age of 27 years old or whatever he is. All right. I promised Jrue Holiday is super inconsistent. So I always worry about playing him, especially on this Celtics team that is just like so deep at every position. Mm-hmm. But I do recall back in, I think it was November, right? They played on November 28th. Jrue Holiday, I was about to submit a pick for Jrue Holiday rebounds, Jrue Holiday first quarter rebounds. I had the whole thing written up, and last minute I paused and I didn't send it, and he went off. I think if I recall, in the first quarter he had like a bunch. Yeah, he had like 2 rebounds to start the game. But anyway, my observation at the time was that Jrue Holiday has got like a really good track record against the Bulls. If you look at his last 4 games against the Bulls, he's got 5 rebounds in all of them. And like I said, the one this year, he had 7 rebounds in that game. If you look at his assists too, even better, 11, 9, wow. 15, and 9. And if you look at his scoring, 14, 15, 20, and 14. So I don't know what angle to play Jrue Holiday, but I definitely have to play him on one of these because he seems like he's got something for the Bulls and has been super consistent, whether on the Bucks or on the Celtics. So what if you had to pick one of those, what would you go with?
The assist matchup seems to it is the much better matchup on paper than the rebounds. So I think based on that, I'd probably lean the assists.
Yeah, and if you look at the margin on all of those, right? Pretty good clearance on the rebounds. The points was pretty tight, right? He just kind of made it in a bunch of games. But the assists, every game, he's absolutely crushing. He's almost doubled the assist line. So 4.5 assists is -154. Maybe you can get it for -140 somewhere. But that's probably good to go up to 5.5 or maybe even higher. So I'm going with Jrue Holiday. You've convinced me. Assists is the way to go.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell twice got to 7 assists against them in the last month. That's very promising. Yeah.
And he doesn't have that it factor against Chicago like Jrue does for some reason. Yeah. So let's go Jrue Holiday, 5.5 assists, 4.5 assists, wherever you can get it for the value that you like. All right.
Nice one.
All right, cool. Real quick, we're not going to cover this game in depth, but we do have the Rockets at the Pelicans. Pelicans are -6 at home. Totals 226.5. Point guards against the Pelicans is a good matchup, so I'm leaning Fred VanVleet if he looks like he's going to be back. Didn't see lines out for him, but keep an eye on FVV. I think there's a good opportunity there. And then wings rebounding against the Rockets, which is Ingram. His rebound line is probably pretty good there. So those are just 2 things for you to research a little bit more as we get more clarity on the lineups being set. Okay.
Nice. Yeah. And I would look if I didn't dig into that one too much, but New Orleans has a ton of wings, so if rebounds are a good matchup, I would dig into some of those other guys too. Trey Murphy and I can't think of. I don't know if Najee's out, but yeah, lots of wings in New Orleans.
Yeah. The one cool thing that I noticed about, because these lines are out so early, the volume of players that are available to bet on is like more than what you would normally see for a Thursday set of games. So I thought that was pretty interesting. A lot of players that you don't normally see lines for, like 5.5 point lines, 6.5 point lines. So I didn't spend a lot of time digging into them because there wasn't any of them were popping out. But I do think there's some value if you just kind of look at the bottom of the list on props.cash. You might be able to find a good guy at like 5.5 points.
For example, right here, I'm just looking at Trey Murphy, his another wing for the Pelicans. In 2 games against Houston this season, his rebound line is 3.5, and it's plus 124. 2 games against Houston this season, had 6 rebounds in both games.
There you go. That's a good example.
Yeah.
So definitely don't ignore the guys that you don't normally bet on, because those could be the best value spots. The stars, that some of the guys we're talking about, their lines are going to be extremely tight, especially as we get closer and closer to game time, because these props have been out now for 3 days. So either lock them in today, or if you miss them today, maybe look at some of the lesser known guys tomorrow. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go to the Clippers at the Thunder. I was trying to think of this as like a narrative game, but every guy who's played on the Clippers has come from the Thunder organization, it feels like. So the Thunder are minus 1.5 at home, which was surprising to me that they're favorites. Totals 237.5. What do you like in this one?
All right, let's start on the LA side. I like James Harden points, over 16.5 points, minus 120 on DK. He's cleared this in 5 of his last 6 games, averaging 21.2 points per game. 9 of his last 13 overall, averaging 18.8. And then 2 games against OKC this season. The first game he had 23. The second game he had 16, so he would have just got hooked in that game. But this matchup has been tremendous since they last played. Combo guards against OKC have been crushing. Listen to some of these big games. Colin Sexton, 31. Anthony Edwards, 27. Kyrie, 25. If you go to guys, Malcolm Brogdon, 18. Jalen Suggs, 17. Emmanuel Quickly, 17. Then Harden with 16. So I think you feeling Harden in this spot against his old team here?
I am. I'm trying to think, everybody knows Harden likes to party. I'm trying to think whether or not the absence from the All-Star game was beneficial for him or could hurt him. So I might dig into Harden's past first games coming out of the All-Star break, but I do feel like him being out of the All-Star game, maybe he took a quiet vacation somewhere and avoided the party scene in Indy. So regardless, I think it's a great matchup coming back home. I think he's I think this is gonna be a high scoring game, right? 237 points. So I think he's good for 18, 19 points in this game.
Yeah, feels like it.
All right. What about Bigs versus the Thunder? That's a matchup we've been talking about all season. You got anybody there?
Bigs versus the Thunder. No, you got to play on Zubac here.
Yeah, so there's really 2 guys who are classified as bigs. The one obvious one that, guys that have lines out, right? So you got Tice, you got Plumlee. Those guys are also good options, but they don't have lines out that I saw. But you got Zubac is the traditional big. Points maybe. I was looking at his rebounds because that's really the opportunity against the Thunder. If you got to really just kind of look at his recency because he's coming off of an injury, and you got to dive into his minutes. When he came back on the 4th, 18 minutes, 21 minutes, 20 minutes, 22. But last game before the break, he played 27 minutes against the Warriors. So I think that's probably where he'll be. And certainly being off for a week has got to, give him a better opportunity to kind of ramp up even more. So I think he's in a good spot for the 9.5 rebounds. I'd probably like him even a little bit lower. So I am cautious about the minutes that he's going to get, whether or not he can get up to 10. But The alternative that I'll kind of present to you is Kawhi. Kawhi is, classified as a small forward, but he actually plays minutes at the big position as well. So I was looking at him at 5.5 rebounds as well. Kind of a less traditional big man, as you would think, but we know his arms are like 9 feet long, and he's good at rebounding when he wants to. So, which of those two guys would you lean more towards in this matchup?
I mean, Kawhi's going to play much more minutes, right? So I kind of just a guy that's going to be out there on the floor. I would lean Kawhi, I think, in this spot. Is that where your head was at as well?
I think so. I mean, I like Zubac if you can get him at like 8 rebounds as part of a parlay. I think that's nice. And then Kawhi, at 6 rebounds, he's done it in 3 straight games against OKC. He is the one guy, the one star on OKC who's got really no ties to on LA, who's got no ties to OKC. So maybe he is passing and rebounding more than he's shooting in this game. But I think maybe even just parlaying these two guys together, because I think they're both in good spots. Maybe Zubac for 8 rebounds and Kawhi for like 5. Just take it down, give us a little breathing room on each. I think that could be the way to go.
Yeah. I'm looking at Kawhi's rebounding, like his percentiles this season. Not great. Zubac, obviously, Zubac's much better, relative to the rest of the league rebounding. So
yeah,
I don't know. I kind of, maybe I like what you just said about bringing them both down a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. Something like that. Let me just see what his assists were against OKC. Yeah, his assists were really nice. So this might support my my statement that he's like more of a facilitator in these types of games where Harden's going to score a lot. Paul George obviously has a lot to prove and as well. So maybe his RA or something like that is a good angle. That gives you a little bit more breathing room. 11, 12, and 12 in his last 3 against OKC.
I like that. I just looked up while we were going through Kawhi here. James Harden, last 3 seasons coming out of the All-Star break, scoring 31 points last season, 27 and 22. So loving this Harden play.
Yeah, love that even more. That was my only concern, but you just wiped that one away. Actually seems to be a benefit. All right, cool. Anything else in this game?
Yeah, real quick. I love Jalen Williams assists, over 4.5 assists, plus 110 on DK. He's done in 8 of his last 13 games, averaging 5.4 in the 2 games. There you go. The 2 games against the Clippers this season had 7 assists in both games, and can't get a better matchup. Wings against the Clippers have allowed the most assists per minute to Wings over the last month. Jalen Williams himself had 7. Brandon Ingram 6, Bogdan Bogdanovic 6, Cam Thomas 6, Kyle Anderson 6. So this is a great spot for Williams, and he's proved it already.
Yeah, I love that. I'm glad you pointed that one out because I looked at him multiple times, but I was looking at his scoring, I was looking at his rebound. I actually didn't look at his assists, and I think that might be the right angle to play him in this one.
Yeah, he's awesome. I love
good stuff. He is great. He's becoming one of our favorites.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to perhaps the ugliest game of the day, but so much opportunity in this, but so scary to bet on this. Wizards at the Nuggets. Nuggets are minus 15.5 at home, 230.5. Great matchup, basically for anybody on the Nuggets, right? Certainly for Jokic as a center.
Against 40 points last time they played, right?
Yeah, but Aaron Gordon as well, MPJ as well. Even at the point guard position, it's a good matchup. So it's like with Murray, like, I don't know. It's hard to know who to play, but the biggest issue is really whether or not these guys will even play. They did match up about a month or so ago, and it was actually a pretty tight game.
It was, yeah.
It was maybe 8 or 10 point game or something like that. So, but I don't see that happening again. Not in Denver. What do you think?
I don't think so. That's why I don't have any plays on the Denver side. I feel like any one of them could kind of go off, and this game could get out of hand real quickly in Denver, and just guys won't be playing enough minutes to clear their line. So I'm staying away from Denver in this matchup.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the only lean I had, again, this is I think it's a home run play, but I think Jamal Murray assists against Washington is a great play. Assuming he plays, 30 minutes, 28 plus minutes or something like that. But again, a lean, if you're going to play it, I mean, maybe a half a unit or something like that. If you look in the game versus Washington back in January, he had 7 assists, but again, he played almost the whole game, right? Because of the tightness of that game. So I think, personally, I'm going to lay off anything on the Denver side. Jokic is just in a phenomenal matchup. So if you are going to play anything on the Denver side, probably playing Jokic points, maybe Jokic rebounds as well is the way to go. And maybe he racks all that up in the first half. So we know he didn't work that hard in the All-Star game, so he's definitely got the energy. Him and Luka were like two 5-year-old boys running around. It was entertaining to watch, but I get why people are a little put off by it. All right, what do you like on the Wizards side?
I just had Tyus Jones, points and assists, over 20.5 points and assists, minus 115 on FanDuel. He's done this in 8 of his last 10 games, averaging 23.2 PA. They played very recently on January 21st. He had 28 PA. That was 15 points and 13 assists in that game. And you get tremendous matchups. Point guards against Denver, number 3 in points per minute and number 6 in assists per minute over the last month. Big games to De'Aaron Fox, 38, Dame Lillard, 23. Fox again at 25. Scoot Henderson had back-to-back 32 and 23. I like that. I like that one.
Yeah.
Tyus Jones, like I said, 28. TJ McConnell even had 24. So nice matchup for the guards against Denver right now.
Yeah, I mean, those are some pretty good guards on that list between Fox and SGA, but I do think Scoot Henderson is a great comp. And like you said, recently he's done this
twice. Yeah.
Twice. Again, he may not get a lot of fourth quarter minutes if this is a blowout. I don't know what they're resting these guys for, but yeah, I think he gets there. I think it's a good spot. This is the one weakness, one of the weaknesses of Denver's defense. I don't know if that means Jamal Murray's just a bad defender. Is that what that is?
He's not great. Yeah,
he's not great. So, all right. Anything else on this game?
No.
All right, let's wrap it up with the matchup of the night. We got the Hornets at the Jazz. Jazz are minus 9.5 at home. When was the last time the Jazz were 9.5 point favorites? 232.5. Before we dive into this game, I do have to say, I've watched in the last couple of weeks. I've watched a few Jazz games, and I really like their team. I love the energy of that team. They're not a great team, but they're not a bad team. And when they fall behind, they always fight back. And especially games at home, they've got a really good energy in the crowd. So I do think they're in a good position to win this game. So hopefully you got some player props on the Jazz side. Anything?
I do.
All right, let's hear it.
So let's start with scoring for the Jazz. Another guy, just because of his consistency, we've been going to him a lot, Mr. John Collins. The point line's creeping up a little bit, though, up to 14.5. I like it, though. Minus 113 on FanDuel. 7 of his last 10 overall, averaging 16 points per game. He had 20 against Charlotte just not too long ago, January 27th. And a matchup we've been targeting all season, Biggs against Biggs against Charlotte, 5th most points per minute over the last month. You remember that was the team Cat had his 62-point game against. But if you look at some other ones, Zach Collins, 16, Miles Turner, 16, Bobby Portis, 18, Jalen Johnson, 19, John Collins, that was his game with 20, Vooch, 22, Miles Turner, 22. So good comps there, despite the big games also from Joel Embiid and Karl Anthony Towns. Not really good comp for John Collins, but those other ones are. So like him for 15 plus.
Yeah, I do too. And the issue is always the reason why his line is back up to 14.5, which is kind of where it would have been last year on the Hawks. Is his minutes are finally becoming more consistent. If you look at the 5 games going into the break, or really 7 out of the last 8 going into the break, he played pretty much 28 plus minutes. So prior to that, it was super variable with him. It was 19 minutes some games, 33 minutes. So I do think he's solidified his position in the lineup. He's proven to be one of the most consistent players on the team, certainly might be one of the most consistent players in the league in terms of scoring, rebounding. I think he's in a great spot. I was debating again between him and Walker Kessler. I think he's just more of a sure thing, although Walker Kessler is also in a great matchup.
He is.
All right. Anything else in this game?
Yeah, I got two more real quick. Colin Sexton assists, over 5.5 assists. It's minus 148 on FanDuel, so a little pricey, but I really like it. 8 of his last 12, averaging 6.5. He had his highest assist output of the season, that 13 you see on the end there. That was against Charlotte back on January 27th, and it's the best matchup for combo guards over the last month. Besides Sexton's 13, Austin Reeves had 11, Anthony Edwards had 11, Killian Hayes 8. Big assist games from your combo guards. So let's go with Sexton real quick. And then I already gave this one out on X, but Cody Martin over 3.5 assists, minus 130, minus 128 on FanDuel. You can read that one on X, but 7 of his last 9, just been crushing it.
Sneaky one. I like that play a lot.
Without LaMelo, yeah.
Colin Sexton, I've never seen Colin Sexton pass the ball, so I'm wondering how he gets 6 assists a game. But yeah, sure. The data's supporting that one. Only other play I had in this one, I think Nick Richards is in a good spot for scoring as well. Last 4 games, 16, 13, 13, 12. Mark Williams is still out. This is one of the top matchups in the league against Utah, which is always surprising, especially with Walker Kessler being such a great defender. But Walker Kessler's in and out of the lineup. There's a chance that Walker Kessler's not even in the game when Nick Richards is in the game. Like, it's, who knows? But 12 points seem like a really good spot. Of course, always with Nick Richards, as long as he stays out of foul trouble.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
All right. Anything else for these games?
That's it.
Good stuff, man. Like I said, we'll dive into the 2 late night games tomorrow and either throw something out in the Discord or pop it up on X, or maybe both, and try to cover those as well.
Yeah. A lot to cover with whatever it is, 12, 13 games. So we'll take a look at those. We'll get a couple more plays out, but nice work today. Can't wait for the games to be back tomorrow night. And I think we're ready to all make some money.